TimeBank believes in a banking future with more for every entrepreneur. Start paying less and getting more. With TimeBank, you've got this.
The term e-commerce is becoming increasingly important in the dictionary of today's tourism managers all around the world. Digital transformation represents both major opportunities as well as threats for the tourism industry. Welcome to Small Business eVolution. I'm your host, Nontobeko Gumede. We are joined in studio by the CEO of Zulu Nomad, Phakamile Hlazo. Phakamile, welcome. Zulu Nomad is a digital-driven ecosystem for startups within the tourism space. A very interesting concept. Can you just let us know how did you come about in starting this?
Yes, Zulu Nomad started off in 2016 as your very normal, straightforward tour operating business. But as we evolved, as we hosted our experiences and travelers in South Africa, Mozambique, our neighboring countries, all the way to Malawi, we had a lot of lessons that we're learning along the way. And through time, over time, we started looking at how we use technology to solve some of the challenges that we were seeing being faced by business owners, being faced by communities, being faced by travelers that we're traveling with. And so, the tourism sector has become a very exciting playing field for us in terms of exploring the opportunities that digital technologies present in the sector.
Can you just take us through some of the services that you offer, speaking to your business model specifically?
Absolutely. So our core purpose is to be an enabler to enterprise development at scale in the African tourism sector, right? And so essentially, once we were able to identify, the application of technologies in the tourism sector, we then said, okay, of all of these problems that there are to solve, which is the one that we want to hone in on? And that for us was, how do we connect travelers looking for authentic African experiences on the continent with the service providers in communities that are usually well endowed with the most beautiful natural assets, but they just don't know how to connect with this traveler, right? The international traveler, the domestic traveler. And so our platforms connect service providers on the ground with travelers looking for authentic, immersive African experiences. Ultimately, for the providers of these experiences, we're providing access to market, which for the first time in history, you can find a community in a village in Mozambique being able to directly access a traveler in Germany and have a conversation about their experience and what it is that they offer and what the traveler can expect when they arrive at the destination. And usually, if you're familiar with the African tourism sector and the value chain, the traditional value chain, it's incredibly inaccessible for African people. And so we're excited to be able to provide that service of access to market for providers of African experiences on the continent.
It's undeniable that the growth of e-commerce is just vast, and looking at the reports from Statistica, e-commerce in Africa is valued at $16.5 billion in 2017, and it's expected to increase even more by 2025. Do you think that South Africa, and looking at the tourism industry, do you think that we have the infrastructure and capacity in order to tap into that digital transformation?
Oh, what an exciting question. So, and it's exciting because of the opportunity that exists, right? And the opportunity exists because of the gaps currently in the market. So you ask about infrastructure. From an infrastructure perspective, obviously then access to digital platforms, access to systems and tools for whether it's service providers as well as travelers in the domestic market. For service providers, obviously, the cost of data is a challenge because you need to be online. Your business needs to be online all the time. You need to be responsive to travelers that are making inquiries about your experiences or about your property. And so it's quite imperative that tourism business owners are able to stay connected. And speaking on staying connected, obviously there's also the implications around our electricity and availability of electricity, especially once you start looking at the rural areas where I'm also in the rural areas, by the way. I'm in rural KZN, where we can have load shedding that really severely impacts our connectivity for days on end. And so as a business owner, relying on all of this infrastructure, it does become a bit of a challenge. South Africa has so much potential from a new product development point of view, and all of that product, as you rightly say, requires the right level of infrastructure for us to be able to scale it.
Phakamile, you currently support 440 small businesses, and you also have a couple of partnerships as well. Can you just talk to us about the synergies, the partnerships, and assisting small businesses as well? How has been the response in that whole ecosystem?
The 400 plus businesses that we've worked with in the last sort of 2-3 years are micro and small businesses that recognize the need for them to start looking at their opportunities in generating revenue online. And so we have really facilitated digital skills training through partnerships with Digify Africa, for example. At the end of last year, we ran a pilot program with the GIZ and Atingi, which is an online learning platform offering free business training for tourism business owners as well as tourism employees. And so the ecosystem that we have developed is really one that looks at solving the digital skills challenge. For business owners, it's not so much resistance to digital transformation, more than it is access to digital tools, access to digital skilling and opportunities to understand what does this mean for my business? How do I leverage technologies to generate revenue online?
Well, thank you so much, Phakamile. I feel like there's so much more to unpack because there's so much opportunity when it comes to digital innovation within the tourism space. Thank you very much and wishing you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me.
That was the CEO of Zulu Nomad, Phakamile Hlazo.
TymeBank believes in a banking future with more for every entrepreneur. Start paying less and getting more. With TymeBank, you've got this.